Hi all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make these tiny granny squares. These are all granny squares I made out of scrap yarn. Tiny granny squares are the perfect project to make with scrap yarns or your leftover yarns. So let's get started right away. Today I'm going to use acrylic yarn. This is Sheep's Color Crafter. So let's get started. First, make a slip knot. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull up a loop. Remove the hook and insert it into the back loop of the first chain. And then insert it to this loop that we pulled up. Then pull through. So that's your slip knot, and this is the ring over here. Now chain 2, this counts as the first DC. 2 double crochet into the ring. Make sure to work on top of the yarn tail so that it is easier to hide in the tails later. Okay, so that's our first 3 DC cluster, with chain 2 counts as the first DC. Now chain 2 again, this is for the corner. 3 DC. 1, 2 and 3. Again chain 2, 1, 2. This is for the corner. Again 3 DCs into the ring. 1, 2 and 3. Again chain 2. Now our last 3 DC cluster. 3 DCs into the ring. 1, 2, 3. Now chain 2. This is the corner. Now slip stitch on the top of the second DC, not on the top of the chain 2, but on the top of the second DC. So this is the top of the second DC over here. Because this way, when we slip stitch, the stitch pulls to this side. So technically, the slip stitch come above the chain 2. Okay. So this is our first round. Now flip your square, slip stitch into the chain 2 space, then again chain 2, which counts as the first DC. Now 2 more DCs into this space over here. Now moving on to the next corner, here make 3 DC. Here make 3 DC, chain 2, 3 DC. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, 3 DC into the same space. 1, 2, 3. Now repeat the same in the rest of the 2 corners, and I'll meet you when I reach here. So I reached this corner. Now here I need to make 3 DCs more, and then chain 2, and then slip stitch on the top of the second DC. So let's make the 3 DCs. 1, 2 and 3. Now chain 2 for the corner and slip stitch on the top of the second DC. Okay, not on the top of the chain 2, but on the top of the second DC. Through both the loops, slip stitch. Now flip your square and then slip stitch into the chain 2 space. Now here chain 2, which counts as the first DC. Make 1 DC, then again chain 2, make 3 more DCs. 1, 2, 3. Now moving on to the next space over here, into the space over here, make 3 DCs. 1, 2 and 3. Now moving on to the corner, make 3 DC, chain 2, 3 DC. So that's the second DC and the third DC, chain 2, 3 more DCs into this same space. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now continue the same throughout, that is in this space make 3 DC, in the corner make 3 DC, chain 2, 3 DC. In this space over here make 3 DC, in the corner 3 DC, chain 2, 3 DC. Here 3 DCs. So I'll meet you back when I reach here. Okay, so I finished the last 3 DCs. Now here in the middle, if you feel that the hole is a little bigger, you can always pull it tight to close the ring. You see over here? Okay, now moving on to the corner, we need to make one more DC over here, so that it completes the 3 DC for the corner. Now do not slip stitch, pull through and leave a little tail behind and trim the yarn. Now darn the yarn end into a darning needle. Darn it to a darning needle. Then insert the darning needle into the top of the, we have chain 2 here, not on the top, we have chain 2 here, not on the top of the chain 2 but on the top of the DC we made over here. Okay, through both the loops. Now pull through nice and tight. Now we need to insert the darning needle on the top of the last DC we just made, but only through the back loop over here, only through the back loop. So that's our invisible stitch. See, it's very nice compared to slip stitch. Now we just need to lock this, so insert a darning needle into the opposite side so that it is locked. Okay, into the opposite side. So now the stitch is locked nice and tight. Now your next step is to hide the yarn tail. You can be as random as possible. So here, this is our tiny granny square over here. Now okay, I have a habit of storing all the yarn ends so that later I can use it for stuffing in case if I make any amigurumi. These are the yarns I started. This jar is actually I started this year. So these are the few granny squares I have in my hand. I made these, as I mentioned earlier, with scrap yarns. I am planning to make a wall hanging out of this. So stay tuned for more tutorials to come. In the meanwhile, I'll also show you a few projects I made with tiny granny squares. This is a bag I made recently. It's made up of I think around 30 granny squares and around 8 half granny squares, and I joined it all together. As you can see, I just gave a simple border. I have to, yet it's still remaining to make a liner and a zipper for this one. And then there is this cushion cover. I think I made it around 2 years or 3 years back with around 36 granny squares. Just joined it, gave a border and sewed a lining behind. Now this is my personal favorite. I use this to carry my yarns and hooks. This is made up of tiny granny squares plus daisy granny squares. I mixed it all together, just gave a simple border, made a liner and attached a zipper. So that's it for today. Stay tuned for more tutorials and do comment if you have any questions or any doubts. Thank you for watching.